Appreciate you coming on with us, bro. Welcome to Under Further Review. Privileged to have you on. One of my closest friends from all the way back, man, and just accomplished so much. Done a lot together. All-American at Duke University.
Yeah.
5-6 year NFL veteran. Now is assistant coach for the Dallas Cowboys, one of the youngest assistants in the NFL. And that'll be soon to change because my boy is doing major things and major things on the way in his career. So first question really we wanted to ask you, Matt, was that, you are one of the youngest coaches in the NFL, one of the youngest assistants in the NFL. And a lot of dudes, like, when they finish playing, man, they want nothing to do with the game. So tell us, like, what made you want to jump into coaching really once that happened?
I tell you what it was. Once my career ended, I kind of always knew I wanted to get in coaching as I was playing. And so I was kind of setting it up as I was playing in the league, kind of going from team to team. And I just knew that I always, you know how you get that locker room feeling, that camaraderie, that brotherhood is nothing like it, man. And I just had a hard time removing myself from that. And I knew that I always wanted to find a way to make cats better. As you know, you go through several coaches through college and through the NFL, and you see what good coaches look like and you see what bad coaches look like. And you kind of take a little bit from each, and as you learn and grow, you say, dang, man, I know that I can have a true impact and really affect the game, not only from a football level, but from a personal level as well, because as we all know, man, football is, or at least in the NFL, it's a relationship business. At the end of the day, and for me, my coaching philosophy has always been about chemistry and building good relationships, and that's how you're able to get the most out of your players. And just through building those relationships is kind of my ideal of how I really want to get into coaching, man. It's just being around people, being around the boys, helping them grow, helping them learn, and at the end of the day, trying to find a way to have an impact on their lives. So that's kind of was the root of it all and why I wanted to get into coaching.
Yeah, man, that's what's up, Brandon. You didn't ever think about coaching?
No, sir. Hey. See, that's where we differ. I knew that once I was done playing, bro, like I was done.
Yeah,
and
same.
I wanted to explore other things. But like me and Matt, we pretty like-minded. But Matt has the ability to like multitask and do a bunch of different things. Like he coached, but he does a lot of other different things.
Yeah.
For me, like I gotta focus all my time and attention. And I think in order to be a coach, you really gotta be able to multitask and take on a lot of tasks. I think that's why he's so successful at that.
That's real, bro. That's good. That's a good point. Like you saying, you think multitasking is important to be a good coach. Matt, you talked about like relationships, being able to kind of connect with people is important. You've been around like some incredible coaches. Like you were with Sean McVay, who a lot of people think is like a savant when it comes to coaching and football.
Sure.
You with Mike McCarthy now. He won a Super Bowl. You were in a Super Bowl with the Rams. From that experience, like you've seen like the mountaintop, like what it looks like. What do you think is like the most important characteristic for someone to actually be a good coach, in your opinion?
I think the biggest thing, and one of the biggest things I would take from Sean McVay, who I think is a savant in this league, getting hired to be an NFL coach, lead an NFL team, an organization at 31 years old, is his ability to communicate. And I think the way people communicate, the way you talk to people comes off a certain way and really either motivates them or pushes them away from you to say, okay, well, I can buy into what this guy does, or I believe in what this guy is about, because there's a true difference between believing in someone and buying into what they're doing, because you can buy into something, but shoot, you can buy out too. When there's an actual belief in somebody and what they're communicating to you and it's followed by action, it can go a long way. And so just being around Sean McVay for the 2 years when we made our Super Bowl run, and his ability to communicate to people and really get the most out of people is really what I would say was the biggest thing that I learned from them. But I would say just in terms of overall coaching, the number one attribute that you have to have is relatability. And I mean, you look at the generation that we're in now, whether it be from, these college kids, we're in a social media age now, your ability to relate to these guys is the biggest thing. And I think if you're so far removed from the spectrum and it's kind of shifting away from this real hardcore coaching, jumping down your throat. You know, a lot of kids are starting to get a little sensitive now, you know. Our age, Chris, Bam, how we were growing up, you know, cats is jumping down your throat, coaches is jumping on you because they believe that's how they can get the most out of you.
That's real.
But you know, as you navigate through coaching year in and year out, you start to realize, well, no, you know, this guy I gotta coach a certain way, he can handle it, while other guys are a little sensitive to it and they run away from it. And so that's kind of the difference in, you know, where the trend of football is going now, is being able to relate to these guys, man. I think that's the biggest thing, because when you can relate to them and understand them, and not only just from a football level, but a personal level, truly get to know them, that's when they believe in you. And that's when, you know, that's when you're able to get the most out of them. And I think that's a biblical thing, that true personal connection, man. Like I said, it's a relationship business at the end of the day.
It's crazy that you said that, because me and Chris was legit just talking about that, about how, like, it's a different era, man. Like, it's a different time. You know how coaches used to want to feel like an authoritarian, like they were the coach and they were in charge. And we were saying, like, today, bro, that ain't gonna fly. That's not gonna work. And especially at the highest level, like, because players making more than you, right? And then in order to get your players to respond, they gotta kind of feel like they're connected to you, that they're your friend.
Right.
And I think kind of that's why it's trending towards younger coaches, because you can relate to these guys, right? Like, you can relate to your players probably better than the head coach, probably, in a lot of different ways. You played, and it's been recent, and they feel like they can talk to you about a whole lot more.
No doubt.
So that's crazy. But I wanted to kind of pick your brain on, like, you coached in college, and now you coaching in the NFL. And I wanted to ask for, like, people that are going to watch this, that they all probably going to aspire to want to maybe try coaching if they played the sport in some type of way. Like, what advice would you give them? Like, what's the biggest piece of advice that you probably would give somebody that wants to dive into coaching? Like, what is the number one thing they need to know before they dive into this life? What's a real thing?
I would say the biggest, there's two things. There's two things that I really want to hit on. So when it comes to coaching, and it's the amount of time that is invested in it. And it's so funny because as a player, so shifting from, because I get this question with the difference between playing and coaching. And so you think about the actual preparation that goes into putting together a game plan. So as players, we get handed scouting reports every week, just boom, here you go. All right. And it's like, oh dang, all right, here's the first and second down plan. Okay, this is how we're gonna attack them in the red zone. Or all right, here's a blitz passage that we're installing this week. And, you know, as players, we don't really realize, like, how much time actually goes into putting together.
Somebody had to put that together.
Right.
Preparation is unbelievable. I mean, I'm talking about, like, I have a 15-month-old daughter right now, and during the season, I might see her a day or two with her eyes open, just because when I get home, I'm getting home at 10:30, 11:30, all right, 11 o'clock at night. I'm waking up at 5 in the morning just to get right back to it. So, I mean, we're talking 16, 17-hour days with no days off. No days off, especially in the NFL, man. And so the time that it takes to actually put into being an actual good coach, it can't be described at all. I mean, and the next thing that I would say, the biggest thing is, we hear it all the time, you know, it's all about who you know and what you know. But in this football business, it truly is all about who you know. It's all about who you know, especially from a coaching standpoint, because what you have to understand is through the hiring process, I'm only going to hire people that I trust, that I know who's going to be loyal to me, and people that I actually know. That I know that they're going to show up and they're going to put everything that they got into the job. Whereas, you know, I would have trouble hiring somebody who I honestly don't really know, or it's my first time meeting them when I bring them in on an interview. And so I think building those relationships, I'll tell you just quick story of how I even got into coaching. Once I finished playing in 2017, I reached out to my defensive coordinator in college, who was the head coach at the University of Colorado, Mike McIntyre. And so I reached out to him, letting him know that I wanted to get into coaching, and I was looking for a GA position if he had it. Thank goodness I ended up having a great relationship with him that he reached out to me. We always kept in contact. And he said, "Oh, perfect, man. I'd love to have you." That's how I ended up getting out to Colorado. From there, once I got to Colorado, I literally how often do we see handwritten letters nowadays? So I hand wrote letters to every coach that I ever came into contact with, whether it be college, the NFL, trainers, anybody and everybody. I wrote at least 30 handwritten letters and shot them out to every single coach that ever came into contact with, just letting them know, hey, I'm in football now. I want to become a coach. If there's ever any opportunities for me, once I get out of this GA position, please do not hesitate to think of me. And from there, things just kind of ended up working out for me, man. But it's all about the relationships that you build at the end of the day when you're trying to just get your foot in the door, and from getting your foot in the door, actually taking those steps up. So at the end of the day, it truly is a who do you know business.
Yeah. Man, that's real. Like, I feel like that applies in the football world, but it applies in the business world too. Oh, yeah. Like, anyone who transitions out of sports, like, you wind up getting opportunities based off of people knowing who you are, 100%. What your background is, what you're about, all that stuff, bro. Like, man, I gotta get your perspective, man. You talked about relationship. You talked about people normally hire people that they can relate to, people that they have some type of connection to. Do you feel like, in your opinion, and this is, you can be as unfiltered or as political as you want to be with your response, do you feel like that's the reason why there aren't as many African-American head coaches in the league, because they have to come to an interview with an owner who, you know, is from a majority culture, who may not understand where this guy's background or what he cares about? Do you think that's part of the reason why there isn't more in the league right now?
Absolutely. And, I won't say a name, but a head coach told me, really honestly, how flawed the actual interview process actually is when it comes to actually finding a head coach. Because you have see the breakdown of it within the NFL, just depending on who ownership is, there's a football side to it, of course, winning football games, championships, but there's also a business side to it where money is what matters the most to the organization, right? Yeah. And so when you come into an interview, some people want to know, okay, how can you progress and move our football organization forward to make more money, to gain more primetime games? Who do we need to sign in free agency that's going to basically limelight and shine a light onto our team and say, okay, we need to watch this team on national television? Whether that person who might not have the best character for your team, right? Because I can get in this too. Important that Mike McCarthy will tell you this, just about how important the locker room is. Who are the guys that you are bringing in, that character? But, you might have somebody that says, don't really care what that character looks like on this player. All right, all we care about is that he's a superstar in our league. Let's bring him in, knowing that we need to put this guy on television. And so what happens is throughout the interview process, you find out whether, okay, is this a football guy or is he a business guy? Because you have some who are on opposite ends of the spectrum, but then you have some who actually meet right there in the middle or both. And, you also got to look at the positions that are actually being hired. Offensive coordinators, of course. How do you usually become an offensive coordinator in this league? More times than not, quarterback coach. Right. How many actual black quarterback coaches do you see in the NFL? Not many, right? I mean, let's be honest here. Most black NFL coaches are either running back coaches or wide receiver coaches,
DB coach. It ain't gonna vary too far.
Right. You're not gonna vary too far because let's face it, those are typically the positions that we play, the skill positions, right? On the outsides, the DBs, the receivers, the running backs, and so that's kind of the lane that you find them in. But I would think that Bruce Arians, who's now in the NFL, who's now about to get ready to compete for a Super Bowl come next Sunday. Right, they talk about big story. He has 4 all African American coordinators on his team, right? But he's a firm believer in pushing the culture forward and hiring black coaches. That's what he believes. He thinks if nobody else is gonna, if I don't do it, nobody else will.
Yeah, that's real.
If nobody else will do it, don't worry, I will. And so, you look at it, he's got Byron Leftwich, who's his offensive coordinator. It'd be interesting to see if he gets an opportunity, considering he was a quarterback coach. He was an offensive coordinator now, right? Had some success. So, we'll see if it shakes out for him where he might get some opportunities. But There's no
For
doubt
real.
about it that within the interviewing process to be head coaches that that it is flawed, and there's a particular look and there's a particular position that people are going towards.
Yeah.
See, the narrative of the league is shifting towards young, good-looking offensive coordinator.
That matters. That matters too.
Right.
I wanted to ask you, just from your perspective, we know like we played in the league, we played at the highest levels in college and in the pros, and it really, you get a little bit of room to grow as a player, but not much, right? Like, so if you're not performing in a year or two, they don't really care about your development. Like, you got to go because you cost them money. So, like, is it the same? Because you coach now. Is it the same in the coaching world? Like, do you have room to grow as a coach? Like, do you have room to get better as a coach, to gain more knowledge? Like, if you make a mistake as a special teams coach, right, and you just have a couple bad weeks, are they going to say it's because Matt is growing, or are they going to fire Matt?
Boy, that's a great question.
That's a great question. I think, again, it's all within the organization that you're working with and the head coach that you have. Mike McCarthy is a firm believer in developing and promoting his coaches. So he's going to give us every opportunity that we can to grow, man, to develop. And he's big on that. He loves that, and he preaches it. And I'm appreciative of it. He allows us room to make mistakes and grow. At the end of the day, he takes full accountability and responsibility for any mistakes that might happen on that football field. And for that, you got to respect a man, and most importantly, a head coach that goes out, puts his neck out on the line to make sure to protect you at the end of the day. So I would say, yes, there's definitely room to where you're able to make those mistakes. And throughout your career, there's gonna be many mistakes. I mean, let's face it, it's mistakes made every single Sunday. Some people are given a short leash while others are given a longer leash. But again, I just think that's kind of based off of the organization that you're with. And really, at the end of the day, it's a business, man. Are you winning? Production 100%. Business at that. Production business, them dubs is all that matter.
That's right. Yeah, they say it's a meritocracy. Sometimes I feel like it's a blend between a meritocracy and a dictatorship. Where if you're in a position where they like you, then you'd get a little bit of that leash, even if you may not be performing. But man, I gotta circle back, bro. You hit on something that I wanted to make sure we touched on with character. You were talking about like coaches, how important character is, and like, I honestly, if someone were to ask me what I thought the most important characteristic of a good coach would be, I would say character. I would say that's my choice, and it's really for life in general. Because I think most of the time, if we put like talent and character on a Leagure scale and we weighed them, 90% of the people would say talent is more important than character, because people will say character doesn't count until character does count, basically until it destroys everything. Like if you have a lack of character, it's going to destroy everything. And I think character is bigger than just, oh, I'm a nice guy, I treat people well. It's what's your work ethic? It's like, what's your consistency look like? How do you continue to treat people regardless of how things are going for you in adversity? So, bro, I think you hit on a lot. So I feel like it's bizarre seeing, like, sometimes even if that is high on guys, they still may not get the opportunity, to get that shot. So you hit on like just how the whole interview process is a little broken, probably needs to improve. Would you give any insight on what you think they could change in the whole interview process for like more young brothers to get that opportunity to be a coach in the league or at the college ranks, or anytime you've ever thought about that at all?
Yeah, for sure. I think the NFL has done a good job, a great job actually, of inputting the Rooney Rule, as you know, where you're required to interview at least one black guy or at least one African American or minority, that is. And so now they push that Rooney Rule down to coordinator positions as well. So now you have the case where, not only do you have to interview a minority head coach for the position, but now you have to interview for the offensive coordinator to be a minority, the defensive coordinator to be a minority, and the special teams coordinator to be a minority. So by finding a way to sift through all of that and finding a way to put minorities in the position of coordinator positions is really where you're going to see it. But I think we can't look at the top of it all, right? We have to think of where did it all begin, all right? All the down at the root of it all, right? Yeah. So put like I just said, you have to put minorities in those QB roles, right? QB coaches is where they need to be at. That's where we need to start focusing more on, is not at the coordinator or the head coach position, but actually at the position level, right?
Yeah.
Are we hiring minorities at the position level that actually matter the most in terms of the light and eyes of those who are doing the hiring at the end of the day? And I think the NFL is moving and pushing towards that. As you know, I think COVID and the COVID and everything that happened, the Black Lives Matter last year, and the George Floyd case really opened up a lot of eyes to that everything in our entire world needs to be shifted, right? We all need to become have a one-mindedness, one likeness. And so I think the NFL kind of took on with that and led with that. And now you're starting to see a shift just overall in the NFL culture. And as that shift does take place, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more opportunities open up for minorities, with really getting ready to have our first female participating refereeing, being an official in the Super Bowl. I think there was a Monday night game where you saw an all minority official crew take place. And so you're starting to see some changes starting to take place, and the NFL starting to bring some light to it. Most recently, the football team just hired a female running back coach. And so you're starting to see those things, man. I think, trends are always very popular. And so you start seeing this trend start to take place overall. And I think the time is going to come very soon.
Yeah. And that's crazy that you say that, because like you've given us so much insight on like the coaching world. And it's crazy because I talk to you every day, but I've never heard any of this. I've never like heard kind of the difference between being a coach and a player, or the differences between, the interviewing process and things like that. But I kind of want to also ask you, now that you are a coach, like it's different when we're a player and we see dudes that are good in the league, but you see it from a totally different perspective now as a coach. Like you see the ins and outs. So I wanted to ask you, who do you think is the best offensive player in the league, the best special teams player in the league, and the best defensive player in the league from your perspective as a coach now, and why? So you are a special teams coordinator, you special teams coach. So let's go special teams first. Who do you think is the best special teams player in the league?
The best special teams player in the league, I would have to say, is coming out of New England, been doing it for a long time, a guy named Matt Slater. Slater, he's a 8 or 9 time Pro Bowler. He's a receiver. I mean, if you had to ask, how many receptions does he have?
About a handful, right?
I would say 2, maybe.
That's real.
2 in his career?
Whole career. He probably got about 5 catches his whole career.
That's crazy.
10-year career probably has less than 5, 100% sure.
He got more Pro Bowls than he got catches.
That's crazy.
More Pro Bowls than he got catches, man. All pro, unbelievable guy. And, I haven't had an actual chance to work with him, but just talk about a guy that's got unbelievable work ethic, a true technician in the game. And as he ages, you only see his technique get better on tape. And, that's how he's able to overcome some of the things that started to digress, throughout his career. But unbelievable guy. So, I have to say Matt Slater is probably the best special teams player.
You co-sign that, Brandon? That's what you think?
I mean, I co-sign that. And I played against Matt. We actually used to do like the joint practices with the Patriots when I was on the Eagles, so I used to get to see him a lot. And like he's a totally different dude off the field, right? He wears glasses, like quiet, but like a dog on the field, bro. So everything Matt's saying is true, and I think it's something that hit home for what he said, is that like like Matt, when you become a veteran in the league, right? Like you start to kind of not pay as much attention to the details, right? Because you kind of got some accolades. And that's really the thing that will continue to separate you, are the details. And when he said that Slater is a guy, his detail gets better every single year, man. That's really like the key to longevity. That's the key to longevity right there. The attention is in the details. And I can attest to me, like, feeling myself, right? Getting 5, 6, 7 picks. Details started to go downhill, right? Now you rely on athleticism.
Right.
And so I think it takes a special dude to do that.
That's real.
Man, that's really cool. That's some cool insight.
Yeah, I'm gonna co-sign both of y'all because I didn't have no answer of my own, and also y'all got the expertise. Matt, you special teams coordinator. Brandon, the greatest special teams player in college football history. So I'm gonna go off of y'all's expertise. But all right, so you play defense, Matt. You were in safety. Who's the best defensive player in the league?
I mean, it's not even close, man.
He gonna say Aaron Donald, ain't he?
Please.
I mean, I watch this guy every single day.
You did watch him every day.
Yeah.
I have so many Aaron Donald stories.
What is it though? What is it? What is it about Aaron Donald?
His work ethic, his first step off the ball, and most importantly, his football IQ is through the roof. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that freaking prepares his butt off every single day, man. The preparation is unmatched. I remember Tuesday nights. Usually Tuesdays are player days off, right? Yeah. It could be, I mean, I'm in the thick of it, grinding it out, working on punt or punt return, and it's like 10:30 at night, and AD just now walking into the building every single Tuesday. I mean, he's in there from freaking 8 o'clock all the way until 11:30 at night. Dang near, he in there, and I'm walking out.
Aaron Donald was in a facility till 11:30 at night.
That is crazy.
Every Tuesday. It's like clockwork. Clockwork. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. The guys, his football IQ is through the roof. Unbelievable character. First twitch. Strong as an ox, probably the strongest football player. Understands leverage, how to work leverage. And most importantly, he knows the guy that he's going against. At the end of the day, football is a one-on-one matchup. And for him, sometimes 2-on-1 and 3-on-1. I mean, hell. Yeah. But the guy is, I mean, there's times in practice where we have to take him out. We have to take him out so that we can just run the play. We can get a clean run. It's crazy. I promise. I mean, it's how
much of that do you think is preparation versus just talent, or is he kind of just like one of a kind?
It's a mix. He's just a one of a kind, man.
Yeah. Like, do you think he could not prepare as hard and still be as dominant?
Ooh, I would say slightly, yes. Slightly.
Yeah.
Slightly, yeah.
He's just one of a kind.
Yeah. He's just one of a kind. I mean, it's and if you actually saw him in person, man, you would look at him and be like, this ain't Aaron Donald. Like, I mean, he's barely 6 foot. 275 pounds, 280. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, he's got boulders on his straps, freaking horseshoes for triceps.
Built like a linebacker,
for real. That man ain't got no body fat. It's crazy at that size.
He built
different. He's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, as an old lineman I was gonna say, as an old lineman who never would have been able to block Aaron Donald, I gotta co-sign. That's the best defensive player in the league. Probably the best one of the past decade, dog. Because every time I would watch him in film, because I would just try to zero in, like, what's making him as good as he is. I agree with you, Matt. The thing that differentiated him, at least from my vantage point, is that first step. Like, as an old lineman, the thing I taught myself was, if I can get my second step in the ground before the D lineman can, he cannot get off I can block him. I can block anybody as long as I get that second step in the ground. Yeah. I feel like Aaron Donald gets his second step in the ground before the old lineman gets his first step in the ground. Yeah. It's insane. So I co-sign that one, Matt. Yeah. What do you think, Brandon?
No question it was Aaron Donald. I even knew Matt was gonna say that because he coached in LA, and I went to LA a couple times, and I got to actually see him coach and see Aaron Donald. Yeah. And then I was playing for the Steelers when Aaron Donald was at University of Pittsburgh. And we split buildings, so I used to get to kind of see him. Mm-hmm. And but to say like we knew he was gonna be this dominant, I didn't know that. Right. But man, 100% agree on those two. But I just wanted to circle back before we wrap up. I wanted to circle back to you and kind of just touching on you being one of the youngest assistants in the league. What's end goal for you? I'll ask you this: How do you define success for Matt Daniels as an individual in the NFL? Mm-hmm. Is it wins or losses? Is it becoming head coach? Like what will Matt say? Like, okay, this has fulfilled me at the NFL level.
I think for me, success looks like a Super Bowl winning head coach.
Okay. Yeah.
What it looks like, right? I mean, that's at the top. That's at the top for sure. And not many have done it. not many have done it, you know. So to find myself in that position will make me one of few,
Yeah.
and it's going to take a lot to get there. But I'm ready for it through the work, whatever it takes to grind. I think that's the end goal for me, wanting to be a head coach in this league and lead a football team and organization to holding up that Lombardi trophy. It'll be interesting,
no doubt.
man. So we're going to see.
And I want to leave this as the last question, if y'all are cool with it. Both of y'all, Fayette County representatives, you know, we're not gonna bring up the fact that Brandon's really from LaGrange. So for the sake of argument,
Matt not from Fayette either. Matt from Arizona.
Oh really? Oh man,
Matt grew up in North Clayton though.
So both of y'all false claim in Fayette County.
Matt really a Clayco kid. He's really from Clayco.
Okay. Well, I guess for the sake of argument, we'll say that both of y'all are Fayette County born and bred. 2015, both of y'all brothers were inducted into the Fayette County High School Hall of Fame. Major accomplishment for both of y'all. I guess I just want to ask, like, how did it feel, you know, to have that moment? Like, y'all grew up together, playing ball together, to kind of come back and see the culmination of all the effort and the hard work. But also, like, what's y'all's thoughts on the Hall of Fame in general? Like, we saw the Baseball Hall of Fame didn't induct anybody. They have, like, a character clause and all this other crazy stuff. Like, what are y'all's thoughts in general?
Oh, man, what an unbelievable moment it was. You know, I tell this story all the time, and I know Dan probably thinking the same thing, just me moving from College Park, where I was supposed to go to Creekside, and moved from College Park in 8th grade to Fayette going into the 9th grade. So it was an adjustment for me. Moving from there, I was always like the greatest athlete, the best football player. So stepping on the field with Fayette, when I first got there, it was Brandon Boykin this and Brandon Boykin that. I'm like, man, who is this hot shot cat they keep talking about, man? He got to see me straight up. Dude, man. So, you know, there was a little bit of angst between me and Bam, just to kind of start off just from the competition level of, you know, who wanted to be the big dog on campus. It's kind of how we see it. And so, you know, I kind of sat back for a little bit to kind of peek what was going on. And so, you know, as the time went on, man, we just formed this unbelievable bond and relationship. And the chemistry that we had on the football field really helped propel the entire program forward as we went on. We'll have an undefeated regular season, played unbelievable, man. Scholarships left and right. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people are still sitting here and saying that I should have went to UGA to continue on the BAM and had legacy. But, you know, I probably would. I had the opportunity if your boy Willie Martinez ain't called me a fool for wanted to go to Duke, then we would have been straight.
Hey, this man, Coach Martinez offered this man Matt a scholarship, right, on the phone. And Matt straight up told him on the phone, man, you know what? I'm committed to Duke. I'm going to just stay with Duke. Yeah. And Coach Martinez said, you're an idiot, and hung up on that man.
What?
Hung up on me. I said,
hey, had number 3 ready for him, had the number ready for him and everything. He went to Duke and ended up being number 40. 40?
That's hilarious.
But nah, man, to be inducted to the Fayette County Hall of Fame is one accolade that I always sit at the top of my mind, and can't say enough about the city of Fayette and what they did for me through my growth and my development, man. I love it. And, you know, rest in peace to Coach Strickland, who truly did mold me and Bam to the young men or old men that we are now, man. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah. I feel the same, man. Probably most respected and closest friend I have that I grew up with is Matt. And similar in so many aspects, man. Just like-minded and what we strive to achieve every day. So it'd be nobody else that I'll ever possibly want to go into that Hall of Fame with. And it took them a very long time to do it, but granted they got it done. But a large part of that, like he said, was Coach Strickland, who rest his soul, man. He passed away late in 2019, but pivotal part of it, and he shaped us who we are today. But 100% about that. But before we dip, Matt, we want to get you on a special thing that we do on Under Further View. It's called 2 for 68. What 2 for 68 is a play on our numbers. I was number 2, he was number 68. So what we do on 2 for 68 is that we ask you questions. Us two ask you questions for 68 seconds. You got to answer the question.
Yeah.
You can't say no comment.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
All right.
You ready for it?
I'm trying to get in as many questions as I can.
We gonna ask you as many questions as we can for 68 seconds, and you answer.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
You ready?
Yep.
2 for 68 starting now. Go ahead, Matt.
What TV sitcom would you best fit into?
Best TV sitcom I would fit into. I was about to say Game of Thrones, but I don't know if I'm really built like that.
Next question.
We'll take that.
Power.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Next question. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Definitely teleportation.
Like that.
Okay. Turks or Anguilla, however you pronounce it.
Oh, Turks, hands down.
Turks for sure. Gotta go Turks, right?
Gotta go Turks.
What's your hidden talent?
My hidden talent is that I can make my ears stick to the side of my head.
What?
Yeah, that's all I'm story. Yeah.
What? We gotta go. All right, last question. Describe yourself in one word.
I would say that I am a leader.
Leader. That's good.
Love it.
68 seconds over with.
Man, you did it, man.
You survived 2 for 68, Coach Hack. Man, we appreciate you doing it. Man, appreciate the insight, bro. Appreciate the insight.
It was great.
And the conversation, man. I think the viewers will get a lot from this, and just understanding what it takes to be a coach and your grind.
Yeah.
And the commitment to it.
No doubt. This was awesome, man. Matt, you are clearly on the path to success, bro. Like, it's great to just see that you are doing so well
boys,
so far. Yeah. And I know you're gonna be winning the Super Bowl as a head coach at some point in the future. Just don't forget about us, when the time comes.
Just give me a ticket, bro. You know I'm always pulling up. Is there anything else that you would like to plug? I know you got. I see the apparel that you got on. You got something real nice on.
Yeah,
right
man.
there.
We got a this is my golf brand that's gonna be dropping real soon. BlackBalled Golf. Y'all check it out. Follow it on IG, Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media account you got, man. And all we're basically doing at the end of the day is just trying to bring more representation to golf, bring minorities on, a little bit more awareness, and basically bring a little drip to the course.
That's right.
That's right. That's what it's all about.
I don't know if they can see it, but we got the black ball
Shout out to
in the background.
Yeah.
Dropping real soon, man. Start in February. All right, y'all be on the lookout for it.
Will do.
Definitely do that, bro. And, hey, we have to have you back on once all that happened. But in the meantime, bro, we appreciate you, bro. A lot of love. I love you like my blood, because you are. And and we gonna have you back on, bro. Appreciate you joining us.
Yes,
bro.
sir. Appreciate you, Matt.
Appreciate y'all boys, man. Under further review, love the show, man. Y'all boys keep going.
Yes, sir. Right, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thank y'all for tuning in. That was Under Further Review. If you've got all the way to the end, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see y'all in the next one.